Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, so often we take the rods and reels and the tackle that we use for granted. And I do that. I'll buy a rod and reel and I'll think, okay, works in the store, it's going to work. Well, let me tell you something that's been happening to me, and it's an issue that I've never, ever had in my life before. I bought, I don't want to malign any store and tell you where I got it, but I got it in one of our big stores. I bought a rod and reel combo that any of us can afford to buy. Wasn't expensive, but it seemed to be really good quality. It was a brand new spinning rod and reel that I thought would be good to fish this time of the year for pike or largemouth bass. It would be perfect to throw Senko worms on and so forth. So a week ago, I go out to one of my favorite spots, and I took a Senko worm with no weight, just the hook and the worm itself, and I went to my favorite place to fish for largemouth bass. And on my third cast, I cast out and blam, my line snaps. And my lure flies out there in the water someplace. And fortunately, it wasn't an expensive lure. It was a worm with a single hook, but still, it was over $1.50, let's say. And I'm thinking, okay, it must have tangled around the guides in the rod or something. So I retie, put another hook on, another Senko worm. 2 or 3 casts later, same thing happens again. Now, what happens is this is a spinning rod and reel, and I'll open the bail, and then I'll try to cast that as far out as I can. So I'm kind of snapping the rod as I cast. I've done this a million times in my life, and it keeps breaking. So I go back to the store where I bought it, and I said, I don't know what's happening with this. I don't know whether it's a reel or the rod or what it is. So they give me another brand new outfit to replace it, which they should have done because something was defective. I go out yesterday, and my second cast breaks it again. Breaks it right. What is happening? What is happening? Not why it's happening, but what is happening is when I flip my hand, flip my wrist, and go to cast, something makes that bail snap back down, and it snaps back down right at the point where I'm putting every bit of force in my arm and my wrist into casting out as far as I can. So it snaps, and it snaps the line right in half. Not in the rod, not in the reel, but out, say, a couple feet out from where it would start to go when you cast it. And I've never seen anything like it in my life. There's something, if you take that rod and reel and don't have the line out, but have the line right on the reel and pretend you're casting, and I whip it as hard as I can to repeat the same process, the bail won't come down. It doesn't do that. It doesn't trip by accident. As soon as I put the line through the guides and tie a hook and weight on and go to do it, every single time. I don't have the answer, but it just shows you how something like that can ruin everything. Now, I was out testing it. I can only imagine if I'd walked a mile through the woods and got down to one of my favorite places and started to fish, it would have ruined the whole day. I couldn't have fished because my tackle failed me. And in this case, I don't even know what it was causing it. Was it something in the reel? I have to assume it's the reel. And I have to assume something causes that bail mechanism to fail every time it's put under stress. And yet it doesn't if you don't have the line out. I can snap my wrist with every bit of strength I've got, and it won't trip it. So it's gonna remain a mystery because I'm not going to keep trying to find out. I'm going to take the rod and reel back, get my money back, and find another one that hopefully won't do that same thing. But it's a lesson in how, if your tackle isn't right, if you don't have it in good shape, if you don't make sure that you don't have nicks in your line or that this or that, it can ruin a day's fishing. And fortunately, it didn't ruin my day's fishing because I found out about it before I had trekked those miles I tend to do. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.